All right, welcome friends. Here we are. Still in Bozeman. Landed last night. Beautiful, beautiful sunset landing last night in Bozeman. And now we're going to do a full flight. It's Sunday after all. And we all got an extra hour of sleep, so at least those of us in the States did. As if anybody outside the States was watching this. In any event, we're going to fly a very short flight today from Bozeman up to Helena, Montana. So this is going to be a quick one. And probably not the last one of the day, but let's get going. All right, so let's start with our startup procedure. Crash bar up, generator set, and battery.
Bozeman ground down for November tree 43 Whiskey Bravo IFR to Helena, ready to copy.
Dover November tree 43 Whiskey Bravo is cleared to Helena Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 12 climb and maintain 12,000 feet.
12,000.
Departure frequency is 118.975, squawk 1534.
12,000 is actually our cruising altitude, so we're doing a low altitude IFR flight. Low altitude IFR flight. Because it's so short. Sync the altimeter. 3042. Nice. Make sure we got our wind settings activated. Option 2 is the one I like. Okay. Pressurize the airplane. Test our lights. Good. Kind of hard to see in the sun. All right. Okay, so we got our IFR clearance, and we're going to ask for pushback before we go request taxi IFR. Anyway, it wouldn't make any sense to fly very high on such a short flight, so that's why we're only going to be flying at 12,000 feet. Probably do this whole flight VFR, to be honest. Weather looks going to be good. Deactivate our parking brake just so he can actually push us. Oops. That would be awkward otherwise. Let's see how this goes. Sometimes it's buggy. There's my 3 Whiskey Bravo. It's like a pretty quiet Sunday morning at the airport. I do have live traffic enabled, so if there's any of you other guys out there, I'll see you. But it looks pretty quiet up in Bozeman today. Well, that was fast. Okay, now that this guy, oh man, this camera just keeps defaulting to auto. It's driving me crazy. Okay, now that he's safely back from the prop, we'll fire up the engines. Use our starter, and there we go. Reactivate our parking brake, of course.
Aural warning, okay.
There goes the prop, starting to spin. Keep an eye on that NG percentage. Time to go up to low idle.
Bozeman ground down for November tree 43 Whiskey Bravo with Charlie ready to taxi IFR.
Keep an eye on that NG percentage right there.
November tree 43 Whiskey Bravo taxi to and hold short of runway 12 via taxiway Golf Bravo.
Once it turns green, we'll go to high idle and then taxi. And there we go. Parking brake still activated. We'll activate our aux boost pump, set it at auto. Turn on our strobe lights, taxi lights, and just like that. Activate our pitot heat, inertial separator before we start rolling. Keep any rocks from getting sucked up into this. Right there. All right. Everything looks really good. Taxiing off there to the right. Go through our last checklist on before we begin taxiing. Fuel selectors at auto. Got our aux boost pump is set at auto. Pressure is, we are pressurized. Got the bleed on. Pitot heat, inertial separator. We do have our altitude already set, but let's set our vertical speed, arm it, and set it at a climb rate of 1,800 feet per minute. Sort of my standard. Acknowledge master caution on the inertial separator. Lights are already set. Flaps will do 1 notch over here for takeoff. Okay. And we already adjust our PFD settings for wind. So, parking brake disengaged. Let's get this flight going. So glad my rudder pedals are working again. It's just much more authentic to steer with your feet. Winds are very mild today, 3 knots. Also up in Helena, at least according to current weather, they got about a 6 knot wind out of the south, nothing to worry about. Certainly, I still have not yet entirely recovered from my landing in Regina yesterday with a 30-knot crosswind. I said in that video, and I repeated that landing took years off my life. Look at those mountains. Gosh, those were so pretty at sunset, and they're just as pretty now. No longer in daylight savings time. We're in standard time now. So local time for me here is 8:30. Bozeman here is in the mountain time zone, so it's 9:30 in the morning for them. I'm virtually certain that Montana observes Pacific Daylight Time, and thus last night would have switched back to standard. So they're an hour ahead of us. And basically we're just going to taxi here. This annoying thing tells us how far we are from where we need to be. That is the runway threshold, or runway 12, which is where we're taking off, southeast, towards the southeast. And we'll make a left turn after we take off and head north for the very short flight up to Helena. This is flying weather, though. Flying weather, I'll tell you. Oops, there's a funny little graphical error there. You see the grass? It's painted over. Oops. That's funny. Yeah, no, I mean, couldn't ask for more. Flying weather-wise, it's just perfect. Air pressure is 3042, which is again always indicative of clear skies. 17 degrees outside, according to my display here. 17, 18 degrees on the outside air temperature. That's balmy for Montana in November. Beautiful day up there right now. It's a nice day here in Southern California as well. Well, it's early yet, but it's probably going to be warm, mid-80s. So I'd rather be in Montana. I'll leave it at that. Just kind of rolling on the taxiway here. Always having to make little adjustments to the rudder. I feel like I have to do that too much when there's any wind. And there's not much wind. It's coming from this direction over here towards us. So the airplane is basically a big weather vane. Even on the ground, the wind affects its surfaces very significantly and pushes it around. I was going to live stream this, if you can believe it. I've never live streamed anything. And I think it's probably humorous since no one would watch it. But just as a proof of concept, you know. I think I pass along the occasional useful tip in this sim. Not for anybody who's experienced, obviously, but for a noob. Last night's RNAV approach into this airport was really smooth. And loaded with handy-dandy tips if you're new to this. I think. But I went to go and initiate the live stream, and because I've never done it before, YouTube said, well, great, you have 24 hours. You have to wait 24 hours before you do your first live stream. So, we'll see if I ever do it, but I'm not under the impression that anybody wants to see me live stream some, 3.5 hour flight, but maybe a little. A short flight like this might be kind of interesting to watch live. That way I'd be operating without any net at all. Although I've never concealed anything from anybody on these things. I don't edit it or anything like that. Because all my videos are contiguous. If I crashed or didn't make it to a destination, you'd know it. Okay. Time for chatter is over. We'll stop here at the line.
Bozeman tower, Docker November
Contact
3
tower.
4 Tree Whiskey Bravo, ready to go runway 12 IFR to Helena.
Docker November 3 4 Tree Whiskey Bravo cleared for takeoff runway 12.
Nice. Okay, so we've been cleared for takeoff. We'll zoom in here a little on the MFD just so you can get your
Cleared for takeoff
position on
runway
the
12
relative
Docker
to the
November 3
airport,
4 Tree Whiskey
the
Bravo.
runway. Here's us sitting right here, and there's the runway that we're about to go taxi out onto. We've been cleared for takeoff, but I still always take a look out the left to make sure nobody's on short final. ATC does a great job in real life, not so much in this game. Not bad, but not great. And we've activated our landing lights, pulse, nav, and strobe. We're good to go. We'll taxi out onto the runway. Whose approach course? Nice long runway, 8,900 feet. Anyway, I know the approach course on runway 12 because I landed on it last night, and it's 123. So that means you'd want this number to read 123 when we're lined up. And that way you know that you're lined up on the runway heading. Even if you're not in the middle of the runway, that would still be the correct runway heading. In other words, the runway is oriented towards 123 on the compass heading. So there you go, see? 123. All right, stop. Sync our heading bug, last but not least. Arm heading. Sync heading. So now the heading bug is linked to our current heading of 123. Why do that? Well, so that when I take off and activate the autopilot, we will maintain runway heading before we begin our left turn. And we can zoom out on the MFD here now. See, we'll take off like this and then turn. All right, I think we're good to go. Very gentle winds, 3 knots. There's the sock. See it? Pretty limp, which works for me. Let's go. Airspeed's alive. $65, 80, 90 knots, and rotate. A little wobbly there on takeoff. Positive rate, gear up. Airspeed looks good, 115 and climbing. 1,500 feet per minute. Flaps retracted.
Docker 3 Whiskey Bravo contact Boise departure on 118.975.
Activate autopilot.
Going to
Activate yaw damper.
975 Docker 3 Whiskey Bravo.
Climbing now nicely.
Boise departure, Docker
Increase our climb rate.
3 Whiskey Bravo.
We're at high altitude, so we can get away with more aggressive climb rate. Airspeed looks good, 160 knots. Begin our left turn. Monitor this terrain out here. ITT's little temperature's high. That's what that master alarm was. You don't want that ITT temperature alarm to be going for more than about 20 seconds, or you're going to fuck up your engine. We'll activate the FLC right now, which will maintain a constant airspeed rather than worrying about trying to maintain a climb rate. It's this button right here, FLC. Very handy. Continue our left turn now. Beautiful. The sunlight just blows me away. I can't get over how cool it looks. Basically turning left like this to head towards that line. And the alternative, I could just press the nav button and let the autopilot steer me towards the line, but I like to handle it myself because what I've noticed can happen in sim anyway, is that if I press the nav button, it might turn very aggressively to get towards this line. See what I mean? Right now, I'm controlling the direction we're headed, which I like. If I press the nav button, it would turn very aggressively this way and then very aggressively to the right. I'd rather intercept it gently. We're already at 9,000 feet. I mean, we're cruising altitude's only 12,000 feet, so this will be quick. I'm already showing us only 70 miles from the airport, so once we get to 12,000 feet, we're gonna move pretty quick. We can deactivate our inertial separator now, of 10,000 almost. Turn on our passenger heat. A little chilly now that we're up off the ground. 6 degrees outside. So you see here as we're approaching this white line, as we get just a tiny bit little closer, I'm going to activate nav, which I previously synced our nav source to the FMS, the flight management system. So it's going to link to the GPS route that I'm expecting and want it to take. All right, so we'll hit nav now and watch what happens. We'll start turning to the right. There we go. Nice smooth intercept of the track course that we want. Beautiful day. What a pretty day to fly. Got a cloud in the sky tonight. Or this morning, I should say. What do they call it? What do they call Montana? Bonus points for anybody who knows. Big sky country, right? Big sky country. All right, well, we're level off at 12,000 feet now. That was fast. Jesus. It's only about 8 or 9 minutes. If that. I do have my hazard advisor on my ForeFlight app, just in case we get any close to any mountains. But I'm looking at this out here. I'd have to keep an eye on that. You can always request a higher altitude, but golly, we're only 14 minutes from our destination at this airspeed, which is still climbing, I might add. 217, 218 knots. Tiny tailwind, quartering left tailwind, about 8 knots. I just really am amazed by the satellite imagery and how, you know, for somebody that grew up with flight sim, where you just kind of had to use your imagination when it came to terrain. And I mean, if there was supposed to be a mountain there, there'd be something roughly approximating a mountain, yes, but still, this is a new level, truly. I'll go ahead and show you. We'll zoom out here a little bit more on our MFD. We're at 10 miles. See this right here? Yeah, see 10 nautical miles, that's our range. So we'll zoom out. 15, 20, 25, 35. So earlier I'd expressed some reservations about upcoming terrain, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. But we always keep an eye out, keep a sharp eye out. Beautiful mountains there. Those were the mountains that were outside the left side of our airplane when we were on final yesterday. This little backbone ridge right here. If I ever go to Bozeman, I'll look for those beautiful mountains. Go ahead and bring up the VFR map just so you can kind of see what the plan is here. We're going to stand by. Salt Lake Center. 3.4. Here, Cruise Bravo.
132.4 for Dr. Trey Whiskey Bravo.
We'll contact Salt Lake Center. Salt Lake Center, this is there. Whiskey Bravo with you at 12,000.
Center Dr. November 34 Trey Whiskey Bravo, 12,000 feet.
Let's tell us to continue his plan. Hear what she said? Continue to CONNS as planned. Cons. That's on our route. Anyway, what I was going to show you is this is our approach. Heading towards Cons right now. Oh, there's somebody. Hello, friend. Anyway, we're headed towards Cons, then we'll make a turn towards the northwest. And you see, oh, 2 friends. You'll see Jubgo right there. That's our IAF, our initial approach fix. Then Duker. Then Yerut. See Yerut right there? we need to be at 9,000 feet at Yarrett. And at Howe, which is an NDB, a non-directional beacon, we need to be at 7,100 feet. The airport elevation is 3,877 feet. So lock that number in your head. Airport elevation is 3,800 feet, okay? Runway length 9,000 feet. Missed approach instructions, if we need it, is to climb to 4,600 feet, right turn to heading 021, climb to 9,000 feet, and await further instructions. So, I don't anticipate a missed approach on this one, but always important to know. Distance-wise, the distance between Jovgo and, well, actually, the distance from Yarrett to Howe is 8 miles, and the distance from Howe to the airport is 8.7 miles. So we have a nice long 16-mile approach, which I love. It really makes life easier when you're not having to bob and weave to get into a runway or an airport like Aspen, for example. Another approach that almost killed me. So we're turning left at Cons now, northwest, just as I said. High enough to be safe, but low enough to be able to make out the beautiful terrain on these mountains. I mean, just look at the trees. It's really beautiful. Interesting to see snow. I'm glad to see snow. I think that's just part of the satellite texture, but it adds to the realism, if nothing else. That beautiful lake that you can kind of make out over here that we're headed towards is Canyon Ferry Lake. We're headed right, we're gonna go right over it. Probably saw that on the VFR map right here. That's Canyon Ferry Lake. We're gonna go right over that. Okay, just 9 minutes now at our current airspeed from landing. Probably more like 12, but I'm actually glad I just decided to do a little short hop today. Ah, look at those beautiful trails. Gimme, gimme. Love running on mountain trails. I gotta go up here. What am I waiting for? God, you can't go abroad anymore because of stupid COVID. Why don't I just fly up to, or drive up for that matter? I mean, it's so pretty. Anyway, we'll set our heading bug to our approach course of 267, so we have that preset, just to give us reference on the runway heading. And then, most important, let's go ahead and set the ILS. Navcom.
November 3 Whiskey Bravo, you are 8 miles southeast. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS Zulu runway 27 approach.
27 Zulu. 1. Clear to Jevco. Remember I said that was where we were going? So, ILS frequency is 110.1.
Expect ILS Zulu runway 27 approach via Jevco transition. Clear to Jevco Docker Tree Whiskey Bravo.
Good. Very good. Okay, and then we'll set our minimums. There we go. Minimums are 5. Did I write it down? 5620.
Flight center exit jet 407 is out at flight level 345 for 10,000 feet.
Those are high minimums for a runway that's 3,800 feet. I've questioned that. It's very strange. Well, anyway. Not going to be an issue today, as you can see. Right over these peaks. Let's go outside. What do you say? Nice. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Alright, so we got, we'll switch this PFD settings over to bearing 1. No data yet. Well, we're 32 miles. We're 32 miles from the airport, so that might explain. You sometimes won't get nav data on the ILS frequency until you're within, I don't know, maybe 20 miles or closer even. It's not really designed to help you find it from afar. ILS frequencies are designed to help you land. So, but I hope that this comes on soon. It's reconfirm 110.1. Yep. Yeah, we've got it activated. Alright, well, see here soon enough. Just about to make our left turn at Jubgo. Right here. Once we do, it's straight in. Period. Let's hope we get some descent instructions here soon. Not that it's particularly urgent, but I mean, we know we have to be at 9,000 feet at Yarret, right here. We're at 12,000 feet at Jubgo, so it's not a ton of time to descend.
Air Tree Whiskey Bravo descend and maintain 10,000 feet.
There we go. Right on schedule.
Descend and maintain 10,000 feet, Docker Tree Whiskey Bravo.
Okay, let's throttle back here a little bit. It's fun to have it work out like that. Like I'm commenting, we should be told to descend any minute, any second. And then boom, there we get told to descend. There's the runway. That's it. It'll slow us down though. Activate our inertial separator as we descend below 10,000.
Air Tree Whiskey Bravo descend and maintain 9,000 feet.
9,000? Just as I mentioned, we need to be at 9,000 at
Yarret.
And right now we're headed towards Yarret, as you can see here on the PFD. It's only 3.6 miles away. More importantly, only 1 minute away. And we're descending at 1,000 feet per minute. We're at 11,000 feet. We need to be at 9,000 feet, so let's increase our descent rate to 2,000 feet per minute so that we can be at 9,000 feet when we get to Yarret. Throttle back even more. Acknowledge master caution, the inertial separator. We are getting ILS information now, happily. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to sync the heading bug. Okay, I'm going to activate heading. And now, I'm going to switch this over to nav 1. Perfect. And now I'm going to activate approach. And we've already grabbed the glide slope. Perfect, 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 perfect. Just nailed it. Now, we're contacting tower, so we're no longer going to receive descent instructions. So I'm going to set our altitude selector at 5,600, which is the minimums. There we go, 5,600. See the green diamond right there? You want that a little bit higher so we can intercept it. 173. So they're from the south at 11 now. Okay. Winds have picked up a little bit since I checked the weather data at on the setup page. But airspeed's fine, 150 knots. There's the runway. We are on the glide slope. Beautiful. There's the green diamond. You want it right midway between these two dots. We're showing now just 6 nautical miles from Howe. Remember, after Howe to the airport is 8.7 nautical miles. So these look really good. I will deploy our landing gear when we get to Howe, HAU. Airspeed's good. As I said, just a phenomenal, stunning day. There's that Canyon Ferry Lake we're flying over right now. And you see our CDI is perfectly aligned. This green arrow at the top, this green line at the bottom is perfectly aligned with this green line. If we were too far left, this middle green line would be over off to the left. If we were too far right, this middle green line would be over off to the right. But we are perfectly aligned right now, showing us just 3.8 nautical miles from Howe, HAU, which is here. And after Howe, we've got about 8.5 miles to the airport. Autopilot's handling everything really well right now. Airspeed looks good, 134 knots. Pop up in our seat now, finally. Not quite that much, guys. Just nice, long final. Can just barely, on my huge screen with my face inches from the screen, I can make out PAPI information showing us right on the glide slope. That'll get clearer as we get closer to the runway. It's off to the left right there. You can see the white blinking rabbit. Just like George Peppard and the A-Team, I love it when a plan comes together. Descending nicely now, 700 feet per minute. I mean, this is a pretty textbook approach. I mean, this is nice. I like. It's fun to have the challenge of an adventure of new tasks, but this is about as good as it gets in terms of everything going by the book. I probably shouldn't say anything. Okay, we're over Howe now, and so our next destination is runway 27. So, and that I'm showing that as 8.9 nautical miles at a bearing of 269. So we'll do our Gifley checklist now. Gears down. We'll wait for 3 in the green. We'll throttle up a little to compensate for the added drag. Kind of hard to see there. Come on. There, I see green. Okay. Inertial separators activated. Flaps, we'll do 1 notch. It's going to affect our airspeed with the added drag, but it's okay. Fuel is fine. Got tons of fuel still. 28 left, 26 right. Lights activate. Oh, I don't think we ever turned them off after takeoff. And we'll deactivate our yaw damper. I mean, this... I don't know, some people might think this is boring. To me, though, it's just magical. Just magical. Knowing how all the equipment and instruments work, how to navigate, aviate, navigate, and communicate, right? That's what they tell us to do. And to have it all just be so seamless like this is the best. 100 knots now, dropping to 99. Once we deploy full flaps, you'll see a very, very significant drop-off in airspeed. And now that we're just below minimums now, or just above minimum, excuse me, 5,600 feet. It's such a nice day. I know I'm still, what, 5.4 nautical miles from the airport, but I think I'm going to hand fly it in. Full flaps. Keep an eye on that green diamond right there on the PFD. I'm going to trim a little bit here. Airspeed's good, 84. So again, your task in the hand-flown.
Tree Whiskey Bravo cleared to land runway 27. Wind 17 tree at 12.
Just realized I hadn't deactivated the autopilot.
Runway 27 Delaware Tree Whiskey
But now the autopilot's deactivated. We're clear to land. We're at 5,180 feet. Our radio altimeter is showing us at 1,130 feet above ground level, so that all looks good. Airspeed is perfecto, 85 knots. Wind is out of the south, however, at 8 knots showing on my instrument panel. Still keep an eye on that green diamond right here. Just keep that centered in between these 2 dots. Keep this green line centered, and you'll be spot on. I am seeing a Vossi now. From a distance, I was under the impression that it was a poppy, a precision approach path indicator, but it is a Vossi, I can now see. There will be a little bit of a crosswind. It's going to be blowing at us here. Reconfirm 3 in the green, kind of hard to tell, but I do see that the lever's down. Airspeed 83, 84. That up back to 85. Green diamond looks good on the PFD. Still got red over white on the Vossi. Zoom in here on our MFD so I get a better idea of the runway layout, airport layout when we land. Looking really good. There's the tower off to the left. You can just make it out. I'm guessing that 500 AGL. Parking's off to the left based on the layout I can see here. But I'll get an airport diagram map when on my ForeFlight app when we land. It'll pop up automatically. 84, 85 knots, still good. Textbook approach. Might be a little trickier to butter the landing with this wind coming off the south, off our left, but we'll manage. We'll manage. Come on, keep it red over white. As long as it's red over white, you're on a usually a 3% or 3-degree glide slope, which is what you want. I don't know, actually, maybe parking may be off to the right. Yeah. Well, ATC will tell us. It's nailing this, boys. Seven confirmed. That was the middle marker indicator beeping if you'd heard it. Idle. And flare. Don't porpoise. Oh, I'll take that. There's that wind, as expected. Not going to need any reverse thrusters or anything today. Just kind of roll out. All right, tap those brakes.
Approaching runway 35.
Okay, left or right? Which is it, honey? Left. Okay. I wasn't quite sure. All right, that was great. That was really fantastic. So we'll turn left now directly into that wind. That'll help make it a little easier to steer. There's my airport diagram popped up here on ForeFlight. Okay, good. So now that we're off the runway, bring in our flaps, contact ground,
121.9er Docker Tree Whiskey Bravo.
and request taxi to parking.
Helena ground Docker November Tree 4 Tree Whiskey Bravo, request taxi.
Bring in our flaps. Try to multitask here.
121.9er Docker Tree Whiskey Bravo.
Taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Delta Echo.
DE, Delta Echo, okay.
Taxiing to general aviation parking using taxiway Delta Echo Docker Tree Whiskey Bravo.
Okay, and that's that. Boy, that is a hell of a tower up there. Good grief. It's a big tower. Okay, sharp turn here. Use those toe brakes. Come on, right foot. Come on. Oh, there we go. There we go. There's a car sitting in the middle of the taxiway. I love it. It cracks me up. Dude, I wish I had a horn. You'd think he'd move. Will ATC tell me to stop to avoid traffic? Apparently not. All right, we'll just kind of go around him. That's a good place to park. Thank you. Shithead. All right, anyway. There's Gary. Take our left turn. And then a right turn. Try not to kill the guy. Whew, my feet were dancing. All right. Well, that was great. Parking brake. Engine. Fuel. And just like that, we're done. That was fun. That was great. That was a nice, simple, straightforward flight up from Bozeman to Helena. So we'll go outside as we like to do and just check things out. Again, looks like a stellar day. Look at that tower. Good golly. Smally. Anyway, that was great. So all by the book. Pretty standard ILS approach into an airport in perfect weather, which kind of a basic entry-level flight for a person who's new to it, but I don't think I screwed too much up on that flight. So that's that. Have a nice Sunday.